A very good morning to one and all present here today. We welcome you to the Vivek High Annual Speech Trophy Competition 2024-25. Our esteemed judges for today's competition are Dr. Nimrat Sidhu, Major Navdeep Singh, Ms. Kirti Harith, and Ms. Jaspal Man. Dr. Nimrat Sidhu, a distinguished pediatrician, is the youngest panel member of the Australia and New Zealand Empanelment Embassy. She excelled academically, emerging as the topper of the fellowship program at PGI and was honored as the best outgoing postgraduate student in 2020. Additionally, she contributes to national publications like The Tribune and Hindustan Times as a writer, showcasing her expertise and insights in the medical field.
Major Navdeep Singh, a lawyer at the Punjab and Haryana High Court, is a decorated military law expert and former Territorial Army Major. Founder of the Armed Forces Tribunal Bar Association, he has reformed military justice, authored 5 books, and contributed globally, including the Yale and Stellenbosch drafts. A key advisor to the Defense Ministry, he edits Forces Law Review and is an international fellow of the National Institute of Military Justice. Judges, we welcome you to Vivek High School.
The rules of the competition are as follows. The competition is open to the students of classes 11 and 12. The speech trophy is a public speaking forum in which the students display their oratory skills, express their emotions, and views on topics of their own choice. The speakers will be assessed on a specific rubric of assessment with primary focus on effectiveness of content and oratory skills. The time limit for each speech is 5 minutes. The warning bell will ring at 4 minutes and 30 seconds and final bell at 5 minutes. The judges will take no cognizance of a speech exceeding 5 minutes. The speaker should refrain from using rude, vulgar language or personal attacks.
The rubric for the annual speech trophy competition is as follows. Content of speech, 40 points. Expression and delivery, 30 points. Clarity of thought and structure of speech, 10 points. Pace and timing, 10 points. Overall oratory skill and impact of speech, 10 points, which totals to 100 points. Now, without further ado, we begin the annual speech trophy competition.
Our first speaker for the day is Amulya Yeram from class 11 with her topic of sisters and of friends.
My time starts in 3, 2, 1. I vividly remember my 9th grade summer break. 2 months spent helping my sister pack for college. I didn't realize it then, but those days were the last of a chapter that I had taken for granted. My sister Aditi left for California in 2022, and with her, a piece of my world shifted. Good morning. I'm Amulya, and today I will be telling you a tale of sisters and of friends. It didn't happen all at once, but gradually the little things began to fade. After each school day, I lingered on my way to the gate, knowing no one would scold me for being tardy. I forgot what it felt like to fight for the TV remote, to worry about the leftovers in the fridge, and soon the thrill of new clothes was dulled because I knew that no one would be waiting to borrow and never return them. And with that, the sister who once organized all my birthday parties became the one person missing because of the distance. Yet, every time I see her, I'm reminded of how incredible it is to have someone who shares your life so intimately. Someone who calls the same people Mama and Papa, who remembers what each house we lived in felt like, and someone who mourned the same grandmother with me in the very same way. That's the bittersweet reality of having a sibling. It's funny how someone who you thought was once your whole world can start to feel so far away. Change is inevitable, and college marks the beginning of an inevitable distance, a precursor to lives that gradually split as if you never even shared them. Aditi left for California around 3 years ago now, and since then, I have had the privilege of loving not just the little girl she once was, but also the incredible young woman that she has become today. I often wonder how she managed all this on her own, how she navigated the world without a lovely elder sister of her own. And then I remember, she too had her own kinds of sisters, girls who cared for her, loved her, and stood by her just as fiercely as I do. These weren't bonds of blood, but they were just as special. On days when I was 12,000 kilometers away from her, these girls were her anchor, her safety, and most importantly, her family. Here's the truth. The love shared between women, between sisters, friends, and companions, is often the most profound, the deepest kind of love. Yet, it is often dismissed, treated like an afterthought to the love that we're taught to prioritize: romantic relationships, parental bonds, and familial ties. But I know better. My life has been healed and shaped by the female friendships I have built. They've showed me that love doesn't need to stay in neat little boxes. It spills over, transforms, and transcends. They've showed me that even in Aditi's absence, I am never truly alone. The female friendships in my life have showed me change. They've made me realize that a true friend can burn down the walls you build around yourself and show you freedom that you didn't even think was possible. These relationships are not frivolous or secondary. They are love in its purest form, unwavering support, profound transformation, and they are life itself. So, there it is, my tale of sisters and of friends. A very small glimpse into the immense admiration, gratitude, and respect I hold for all the girls in my life who have loved me like I love my sister. And for those of you who weren't blessed like with an Aditi like I was, I hope you find your Falgun or Tanishka to fill that space. Because sisters, whether by love or by bond, are what make life whole. Thank you.
Judges to please note that the speaker spoke for 4 minutes and 47 seconds.
Thank you, Hamulya. That was certainly a heartfelt speech. I now call upon stage Manya Garg from class 11 with her topic, Life Lessons from a People Pleaser.
A very famous American philosopher, Ralph Waldo Emerson, once said, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment." Good morning to one and all present here. I, Manya Garg, stand before you today and share some personal reflections that I believe many of us can relate to. We all have labels, don't we? Some are known as the leader, others as the athlete or the artist. As for me, for much of my life, I've been labeled as the people pleaser. I've always had this strong desire to make everyone around me happy. If someone needed assistance, I was there. If someone faced a problem, I'd jump in to fix it. And someone had expectations, I'd strive to meet them, even if it meant sacrificing my own needs. Some people will never be satisfied. So, people pleasing has shaped how I saw the world. But over the years, I have learned some few valuable lessons that I would like to share with you all today. The first lesson I learned as a people pleaser is that you cannot please everyone. It often comes from a need for approval. We want to be liked, accepted, and respected. But no matter how hard you try, you cannot make everyone happy. Some people will never be satisfied, and that's okay. The only approval you truly need is your own. We cannot meet everyone's expectations, so it is important to prioritize those relationships and commitments that align with our core values. The second key lesson I learned was the importance of setting clear boundaries. As a people pleaser, I often said yes to requests even if I did not have the time or energy for it. I realized that boundaries are not just about protecting yourself, they're about respecting both your needs and the needs of others. Setting them is self care, not selfishness. Saying no was hard at first because all I thought was about what if they get upset or what if they don't like me anymore. But here's what I've learned: every time you said yes to something you don't want to do, you're saying no to something that truly matters to you. By setting boundaries, I protected my time, and in doing so, I became more present and effective in areas that truly mattered. One of the hardest lessons I had to learn as a people pleaser was that it's okay to disappoint people sometimes. In the fear of letting people down, I made myself overextend to a limit, but I've realized that this disappointment is inevitable and unavoidable in the part of life. And it does not mean that you're a failure. Sometimes it is necessary in order to protect your time, your peace, and maintain your boundaries. I also used to avoid speaking up in situations which made me feel uncomfortable, fearing conflict, because I didn't want to make it a thing. But I've realized that construction is conflict can be constructive. It helps to clear the air, resolve issues, and build strong relationships. Speaking up isn't about creating drama, it's about standing up for yourself. Lesson number 4: authenticity attracts real connections. People pleasers are great at adapting. We mold ourselves into what we think others want us to be. But in trying to be everything to everyone, we lose ourselves and, ironically, the connections we crave. What I've learned is this: relationships are based on meaningful authenticity. When you stop people pleasing and embrace who you truly are, you find those people who value you for you. Trying to meet everyone's expectations forms it difficult to form deep connections. The people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries and your opinions as well as your individuality. If someone gets upset because you set a boundary or express yourself, that's not a reflection of your worth, that's a reflection of their expectations. In conclusion, I can say that being a people pleaser is not all bad. It made me empathetic, a good listener, and someone who genuinely wanted to help others. Of course, I have learned that showing up for other people is as important to show up for oneself. So, to anyone who identifies with the struggles of people pleasing, I encourage you to take a step back and reflect on what truly matters to you, and remember that you are enough just as who you are. Thank you.
Judges to please note that the speaker spoke for 5 minutes and 2 seconds.
Thank you, Manya. I'm sure a lot of us could truly relate to your words. Our next speaker is Mokshita Bajaj from class 11 with her topic, Patriarchy and Misogyny, from ancient roots to modern challenges.
My time starts in 3, 2, 1. How many Einsteins have spent their lives washing dishes? How many Mozarts have bent over stoves instead of pianos just because they had the misfortune of being born a woman? This quote arose from claims that Einstein stole his wife's work and that Mozart's sister, who was an incredible pianist, had her career cut short because of societal norms. Ironic, isn't it, that those who were called Lakshmi at birth, literally the embodiment of fortune, are often tied to misfortune as they grow up? Good morning to our esteemed judges, respected teachers, and my fellow students. Today, I, Mokshita Bajaj, stand before you to speak about something that is as enduring as history itself. These social ordeals have existed since the ancient civilization times and continue to persist even in the 21st century. That is why my topic is patriarchy and misogyny, from ancient roots to modern challenges. Let's start from the great empires of history: Greece, Egypt, Rome, and so many more. In these societies, women were seen as objects. They were given away in marriages as though property to be traded. Their worth was not measured by aspects like creativity, intelligence, individual achievements, but by the ability to serve their husbands, their families, their empires. And even worse, women who did try to break free of these patriarchal norms were often accused of practicing black magic. They were labeled as witches, exiled from society, and even burned alive. The Salem witch trials serve as a pretty well-known example. It was not a pursuit of witches. It was a targeted execution of brilliant minds who happened to be born female. In our own country's history, there are so many examples. When Lord Ram was ordered to go into exile, unlike Lakshman, Sita Ma had no choice in the matter. And the truth is that patriarchy runs so deep in not just the minds of men, but women too, that even after coming from a 14-year exile, when Sita Ma heard the rumors questioning her purity, she felt compelled to leave. She felt compelled to leave her palace. She felt compelled to leave her husband. She felt compelled to leave the man she loved. If I went on about every instance in history, this speech would go on forever, since every woman born has experienced it. So let's bounce back to the present. I would be lying if I said that the society has not come far. Women can now, brace yourselves, this might be too shocking, but women can now vote. There are even laws protecting them, like luxury much. But just because women now have rights does not mean misogyny does not exist. Misogyny is evident when a law was passed in Afghanistan that made the age of consent for girls 9 years and banned women from speaking publicly, and yet what people were more concerned with were the IPL auctions. Misogyny is the fear women feel walking alone at night. Misogyny is a terrorism attack being planned on a concert because how dare women have a safe space to enjoy themselves? Misogyny is that little girls who used to love having a closet full of pink were made to hate the color because being feminine is seen as weak. Misogyny is that rape and sexual assault culture is still thriving based on phrases like boys will be boys, what were you wearing, why were you even out at night? Misogyny is that it took seven years for the rapist of Nirbhaya to get hanged. Misogyny is that the doctor from Kolkata has yet not received justice, and neither will more than 30,000 women per year. Misogyny is that every single woman in this auditorium can think of at least one instance when they feared for their life. Misogyny is that in nowadays, being called a feminist is seen as an insult or a joke. The fight against misogyny and patriarchy is far from over. It is up to us to create a world where respect, safety, equality are not privileges, but rights. Change will begin when we realize the answer to the question, what can I do, is everything. I would like to end my speech with a few lines. I am a woman, hear me roar. In numbers, too big to ignore. I know too much now, my friend, to just go back and pretend. Thank you.
Judges, to please note that the speaker spoke for 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mokshita. That was certainly a powerful speech. I now call upon stage Lavanya Aditi Puri from class 12 with her topic, The Internet is the Best Thing to Happen to Humanity.
My time starts in 3, 2, 1. There is no other platform on earth where you can learn about the lore of Skibidi Toilet and string theory at the same time. No other place where you can read a thread dissecting the political and social implications of a new Kendrick Lamar album while seeing the recipe for those blueberry muffins you like other than the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that the internet is single-handedly the best thing that could have happened for humanity. Many people are going to take the scientific approach and counter this by saying, actually, isn't fire the best thing or the spinning wheel? While others will take a more pragmatic route and say, but aren't we putting thousands of people out of jobs every day with the advent of technology? Others still think of the future and say, well, Generation Alpha is cooked and their attention span is less than 10 seconds thanks to YouTube Shorts. While I agree with most of these claims, I'd like to put these practical considerations to the side and think about the principle behind the internet. Why was it created by a bunch of nerds at UCLA and Stanford? The plain answer is that government researchers wanted to share information. But what was once a way for the deep state to surveil the human consciousness has evolved into a phenomena that is out of anyone's control. To me, the internet fundamentally harnesses and encompasses the human spirit. Firstly, we are social animals. For sometimes more animals than social, really. 6 months from now, when we're scattered all across the world leading lives we couldn't have possibly imagined for ourselves, we'll stumble across an Instagram memory from the athletic meet or the performance assembly and think, wow, I really glowed up since then. We'll exist as digital ghosts confined to comment sections in awe of the experiences we're having and the memories we shared. We'll replay voice messages about our lives when we miss home and scroll through archived posts with people we've drifted apart from. The internet is a double-edged sword. Fortunately or unfortunately, it is forever. I know some meme pages rejoice at this fact. Secondly, we crave information. It can be something as useful as Googling CBSE Datesheet 2024 or NCRT exemplar solutions, or as trivial as Nagpur Thai restaurant and Sector 7 Zoo menu. All of these are real searches from the Student Council Google profile, by the way. Wikipedia spirals about obscure topics and YouTube video essays form the basis of our opinions, though the quality of these opinions remains subjective. We consume content and identify with what we see, aspiring to get that investment banking bro job, or live that busy girl life in New York, or laugh at that cheap Pooja Mishra Hindi reel on Instagram. The internet enables us, and whether it's going to be stalking former classmates on LinkedIn as we trudge through our 20s, or the Discord servers we created during the pandemic to collectively pass tests on Microsoft Teams, the internet is how we keep expanding our intellectual horizons every day. Lastly, we are innovators and creatives. There exists a streak within all of us, even the soulless, self-sabotaging people who have taken sciences, to create. Typing on a dock, putting an Apple Pencil to a black screen, dragging a cursor to a GarageBand mix, or taking that perfect picture, the internet is our #1 marketing forum for the innovators within us. Starting YouTube channels at the tender age of 13 to film WWE takedown videos in our living rooms, or post Fortnite Battle Royale highlights, or Instagram pages to show off our adorable dogs sunbathing, crocheting, or posting our art. There is a place for everyone on the internet. Older people are quick to criticize it, but this is a phenomena that exists in every generation that spearheads change. We fear what we do not understand. Despite being a non-living entity, the internet is a tangible, living part of our lives that we're dependent on for dopamine. Withdrawing from this source of joy is living in an idealistic world. We instead need to learn to live with it rather than fight it. In an age where we're easy to anger and exclude because we have weaponized the internet, I think we have a lot to learn from the principle behind its conception before we can reform it. We can learn to tolerate more, to be more inclusive, to be more open-minded towards opinions we may disagree with. The internet is both a time capsule and a glimpse into the future. My childhood exists within the comment section of T-Series versus PewDiePie, in Microsoft Teams channels where we never submitted work on time, on Dailymotion, in grainy Instagram filters, on Musicallys where we were practicing the woe before it got banned. My future exists within jobs that have never been heard of, dependent on code rather than people, in algorithms that do most of the work for me, and apps that claim to sort out my life. The finality and beauty of the internet, though, is that it is moldable to my will. I can choose how dependent I am on it. I can't live without checking my Instagram, or I can put my phone on Do Not Disturb and rack up notifications to check hours later. The internet, in the end, is just like the world, ours to curate. Thank you.
Judges to please note that the speaker spoke for 4 minutes and 54 seconds.
Thank you, Lavanya. You've truly left us all speechless. I would, like, I would now like to call Kashri Vadhva of class 12 to express her thoughts on the topic Mosaics of Life.
My speech starts in 3, 2, 1. We are born little balls of clay, soft and moldable, a blank canvas waiting to be painted. And we are shaped, slowly and painstakingly, into something spectacular by those we meet and the experiences we share with them. Our personalities, our minds, and our hearts are a beautiful amalgamation of everyone we've ever known. Not just my family, not just my closest friends, but my teachers and my classmates. Those I see every day, but will not for much longer. My speech today is a half-coherent rant born from a quote I read years ago, but still stays with me to this day. I am a mosaic of everyone I've ever loved, even for a heartbeat. Good morning, I am Kashri Vadhva, and for probably my final speech on this stage, I would like to tell you about the mosaic of my life. So many of my habits and phrases I use in my daily life originated from a friend who probably heard it from somebody else, and so on. Whether it's Lavanya influencing my entire music taste, or me saying this is so pissing off every time something mildly irritating happens because I picked it up from Navika, I fear it's accurate to say that I am a summation of my loved ones. Nirvan and I have started saying cold at the same time now when something cool happens, and I keep starting my sentences with array because of Shaurya. These days, every time I put my phone to charge next to my pillow as I sleep, I am reminded of Hiral's advice and disapproving face as I immediately put it 10 feet away from me. I have sadly also picked up Dia's habit of telling a horrible joke and laughing even if no one else does. I used to hate interacting with people I didn't know in school, and maybe that was just me being scared. But because of Taxila and all those little kids who came running up to me saying, Didi, Didi, basketball match kab hai? I learned that I actually love talking to them and love it even more when they willingly come up to me to just yap on and on. I would not be who I am today without every Taxilian in this school. Every conversation, every challenge I took on built me up as a person. And I'm proud to say that I quite like the person standing here. When we look back on these years and as the glory days, I hope others remember me the same way as well, with someone carrying around a habit of mine even decades later, or maybe a little inside joke we shared. I hope these little trinkets of personality stay, even if the people don't. If the average adult human brain has the capacity to store the equivalent of 2.5 million gigabytes of digital memory, I am going to become a hoarder of everyone's little quirks and carry them around with me forever. I think we should all aspire to make our mosaics the biggest, brightest, and most colorful. And there's only one way to do this, by allowing yourself to be bold, open to new experiences, and by not restricting yourself anymore. It must sound like an exaggeration to some, or even pretentious, but the impact people around me have had on me, words escape me. All this to say, I think parting with my friends in this school, which is ultimately my family too, hurts so much because you are all a part of me and will forever be a part of me, no matter how much distance is between us. Finally, my rant is over, and I would just like to shout out everyone I've ever held a conversation with here, no matter the length of it or how irrelevant it was. Most importantly, thank you to my closest friends, thank you to my teachers, sorry for being slightly infuriating at times, and thank you to Naz ma'am for forcing me to write this speech. I would like to end with a quote by Kamala Harris, one which most of you might already be familiar with. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live. Thank you.
Judges, to please note that the speaker spoke for 4 minutes and 14 seconds.
Thank you, Kashri. That was a deeply moving speech. Our next speaker is Hiral Thakur from class 12, speaking on the topic fear.
will be starting in 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everyone. I am standing here today on this very stage with a strange mix of nervousness and excitement. It feels a little surreal, especially because last year I completely froze during the same competition. I had manifested my worst fear, failure. But here I am again, and this time I'm slightly better prepared. And that's what I want to talk about today. The fear of failure and why it shouldn't hold us back. We all felt it at some point, whether it's the fear of not getting the grades we want, missing out on an opportunity, letting others down, or even failing in our everyday lives. It's that fear that holds us back, makes us second guess ourselves, and sometimes stops us from even trying. But here's the thing. Failure isn't the enemy. In fact, it's actually one of the greatest teachers. Think about it. So much of what we've learned by failing first. When we were babies, we didn't just start walking, we fell a lot. But every time we fell, we got back up and tried again, and eventually we figured it out. Yet, somewhere along the way, we were taught that failure is something to avoid at all costs. But the truth is that failure is a part of life. It's not just those big public failures we hear about, it's the small everyday failures as well. Whether it's trying to maintain a friendship, or managing our time, or dealing with disappointments, failure is woven into our experiences. And every time we fail, we give ourselves the chance to grow. I recently came across the story of Walt Disney, a man whose name we've all heard of. But did you know that Disney's first animation studio went bankrupt? He lost everything. But that failure taught him valuable lessons about persistence and creativity, which later helped him build the empire we know today. Imagine if Disney had given up after his first big failure, the world would have never seen Mickey Mouse. There's also something fascinating I found out about the neuroscience of failure. Did you know that every time we fail, our brain reacts in the same way as it does to physical pain? That's why failure hurts so much. But over time, this pain helps our brains build resilience. In other words, failing literally makes us mentally stronger. So the more we embrace it, the more equipped we become to handle challenges. But, hold on, let's be clear. I'm not saying we should strive to fail. Of course not. We all want to succeed. But at the same time, we shouldn't be afraid of failing. Because when we let that fear control us, we stop ourselves from trying, from taking risks, from learning, and from growing. The real danger isn't in failing, no. It's in not trying at all. Now, as much as failure is a part of everyone's life, this message holds a special weight for those of us who are about to take a major step forward. Many of us are just weeks away from leaving school, stepping out into the world beyond these four walls. And for years, we've been protected in this environment, where we've had our teachers and friends and family to support us, to catch us in case we stumble. But as we move on to new colleges and jobs and new challenges in our life, we may not always have this safety net around us. And honestly, that's scary as heck. But the fear of failure should never stop us. Instead, it should push us to keep on going, to learn, to adapt, and to come back stronger. Whether we're moving on from school or facing new challenges in life, failure is just another part of the process. Walt Disney didn't stop when he failed. He created magic after it. So, as we face whatever lies ahead, let's remember, success is what we strive for, but it is okay to fall along the way. The key is to pick ourselves up and try again and again and again if need be. Because failure is not the end of the road. It's just a bend guiding us to a better path. Thank you.
Judges to please note that the speaker spoke for 4 minutes and 29 seconds.
Thank you, Hiral. That is certainly a touching speech. I would now like to call upon stage Jia Singh from class 12 to deliver her speech on the topic Diamond in the Rough.
Diamond in the rough. What do we mean by that? This idiom is used to describe a person who is generally of good character but lacks education or style. It can be difficult sometimes to see the hidden potential in anyone, including ourselves. You don't have to be a superstar or a genius to achieve great things in life. A three-framework approach is what generally should be resorted to for uncovering anybody's potential. First, developing character skills. This has to begin early in life with skills such as task persistence, discipline, cooperation, and curiosity. We may be born with innate personality traits, but character skills are the foundational building blocks of all future success. Hence, the role of the early instructors, that is not only parents, but also from primary to college teachers, is so important. An individual's life is dictated by these early pillars. Second, persistence. It is very easy to start something new, but much harder to stick with it, especially when the going gets tough. To keep our motivation high, we need to have persistence. And to uphold that persistence, again the pillars like family, teachers, friends, or anyone who understands and drives us on to achieve those goals. Third, unlocking potential. When we try bringing out the best in ourselves, it requires willingness to be uncomfortable many a times, to risk looking foolish or getting things wrong. All these experiments give an individual a plethora of new information and ideas, which lead to personal growth and establish a person's ability to be a sponge that absorbs new ideas and information. Hence, it is important in all walks of life that instead of focusing only on the superstars or genius, the focus should be for equating everybody on one plane to unlock hidden capacities of everyone. Now I would like to narrate an incident from Ratan Tata's life. Once, someone asked Ratan Tata in an interview, "When did you feel the happiest in life?" Ratan Tata gave a thoughtful reply to the question, which is as follows. "I have encountered happiness in 4 situations in my life. First, during the stage of my life when I acquired wealth and resources. But that didn't feel happy enough. Second, when I could buy things and valuables with my wealth. That was also temporary. Third, when I was honored to become the owner of the largest steel factory in India and Asia. But even that achievement didn't bring me the happiness I imagined. Then one day, one of my friends requested me for sponsoring 200 wheelchairs for an institution, and I agreed to that. But he insisted I personally accompany him to the place and give the children myself. As I reached the place and started to give away their gifts, I saw the faces of the kids beam with happiness to receive the greatest gift of their life. And one child touched my leg in respect, and even though I tried to release my leg, the child did not let go. He looked at my face and held my legs tighter. I asked the child if they needed anything else, and the child replied, "I want to remember your face so that when I meet you in heaven, I can recognize you and thank you once again." That was the 4th time I felt happiness. And unlike other times, I felt truly and completely happy that time. Every society in this world suffers from a drawback that though they produce excellent ideas in individuals, they fail to instill a sense of duty and kindness in their achievers. What I mean to say is that if you have discovered a diamond or you have polished a rough one, but the final act of making it a prized one is by instilling a sense of civic duty and foremost to be kind to others around you, which is the final and most important aspect which a society can impart to any individual. Thank you.
Judges to please note that the speaker spoke for 4 minutes and 18 seconds.
Thank you, Jia. That was indeed an inspiring speech. I now call upon stage Adhiraj Bedi from class 12, who's speaking on the topic Hope.
I will be starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In the US Navy, the 9th week of training is referred to as Hell Week. It is 6 days of no sleep, constant physical or mental harassment, and one special day at the mud flats, an area where the water runs off and creates a swamp that will engulf you. On Wednesday of Hell Week, you must paddle down in the mud flats and spend the next 15 hours trying to survive the howling winds, the freezing cold, and the incessant pressure to quit from the instructors. As the sun set that Wednesday evening, the mud consumed each and every man until there was nothing visible but the top of the soldiers' heads. The instructors informed the men that you can leave if only 5 of you quit. Just 5 men, and all of them could get out of the oppressive cold. It was still 8 hours till the sun came up. 8 more hours of the bone-chilling cold. The shivering teeth and the moans of the trainees were so loud it was hard to hear anything else. But then one voice echoed through the night. One voice raised in song. One voice became 2. 2 became 3. And all of a sudden, before long, everyone in the class was singing together. And somehow the mud seemed a little warmer, the winds a little tamer, and the dawn not so far away. Good morning, respected teachers and my fellow students. My name is Adhiraj Singh Bedi, and I stand before you to speak about hope. 27 December 2023, exactly 1 year ago, as I stepped up on this exact stage to stand beside the winner of last year's speech trophy, my elder sister, I was filled with joy. Having gone through a rough patch as we all do in life, I was certain in that moment that I had found the light to guide me out of my dark time. Both my sister and I returned home in glee, excited to tell our parents about the results, only to find our pet dog on death's door. Unfortunately, we lost him to cancer. Seeing my family in anguish, I believed my world had shattered completely, but over time I learned that it's important to move on, and for that I must learn hope. For many, hope is just an abstract idea or a verb they use to express themselves. But for me, I learned its importance that very day. And today I stand before you and believe strongly that hope is the most powerful force in this world. Every single one of us at some point in our lives has begged the question, what do we do when the suffering doesn't stop? You probably had to end a relationship. Maybe it's your health. Maybe a loved one is in distress, or maybe some other arena of your life. But we still get up the next morning and move on with life. How do you do that? How are we as humans capable of pushing through such tough, painful, grueling times and still live life with the expectation that it will get better? It's because every single time we are put in our trap of despair, we are given a choice. Either give up or find hope. Somehow, somewhere, whatever it takes, you find hope. There are some people in this world who believe there's nothing one man or one woman can do against the enormous array of ills of this world. Yet, it was a young monk who began the Protestant Reformation. It was a young Italian explorer who discovered the New World. And it was a 32-year-old Thomas Jefferson who claimed that all men are created equal. Whenever a man stands up for an ideal, represents it, fights for it, seeks out injustice, he sends out a tiny ripple of hope around the world. There is discrimination in this world. There is starvation, slaughter, slavery, millions trapped in poverty who are impoverished while the other nations grow richer and richer. But what's important for us is to remember that even if we have dark days ahead of us, we must hold on to that tiny ripple of hope. My wish for you, all of you, is to become the light that makes people believe again. Become the faith so that people can dream again. Become hope as people need it. And even if we fail in doing so, what better way is there to live? Thank you.
Judges, to please note that the speaker spoke for 4 minutes and 39 seconds.
Thank you, Adhiraj. That was certainly a motivating speech. I now call upon stage Falgun Hansrao from class 11 to present her thoughts on atheism.
My time starts in 3, 2, 1. Imagine a world where you had no one to turn to in the toughest of times, a world where you had nothing to look up to in order to anchor your beliefs. Greetings. Today, I stand before you to discuss a topic which is often considered to be a sensitive one: atheism. The belief system, or lack thereof, that rejects the existence of a deity has been gaining momentum. Atheism presents not just a shift in belief, but also significant moral and societal consequences. Throughout history, religious frameworks have provided a moral compass guiding behavior and decision making. Without this anchor, atheism often gives rise to moral relativism, where right and wrong become subjective. For example, in China, state-promoted atheism has led to surveillance, re-education camps, and restrictions on religious expression, actions viewed as moral within their context, but condemned by others. Personal atheism also stands to be a problem. When I say personal atheism, I'm referring to an individual's claim that atheism is merely a lack of faith in God, with them not having to defend it. Why? Because it only affects that individual. Japan's declining birth rates and aging populations are linked to declining religious participation, which leads to demographic challenges. The hikikomori phenomenon, where individuals withdraw from society, reflects how a lack of faith and community can exacerbate loneliness and mental health struggles. Lastly, an atheist government, by downplaying religious practices, unintentionally harms tourism. People travel to visit sacred sites not just for religious reasons, but also to experience the culture and history they represent. Countries like Italy and India benefit greatly from religious tourism, with tourists visiting landmarks like the Vatican and the Ganges. Having said that, esteemed audience, I would like you to ask yourself one simple question. Is it really that harmless a lack of faith if it drives people to isolation and whole countries into great economic ruin? Moving on, I'd like to propose a few solutions. Positive religion in media helps combat negative stereotypes and show the value of belief systems in contemporary life. In Saudi Arabia, Islamic teachings are promoted through state-sponsored media programs that emphasize its positive role. Today, social media is one of the greatest sources of information, and so the content which people consume greatly affects their opinion on things. Adopting secularism. India, while secular, has eradicated unjust practices like triple talaq by introducing laws. This act pronounced talaq to be illegal. It has made a great impact on the lives of thousands of Muslim women across the country who before this law were used and thrown away like objects. In a world where everyone is stuck in a rat race of who can earn more money and who can be more successful, faith acts as an anchor. To summarize, I assert that the rise of atheism has only led to the decline of the social fabric that binds humanity. In a world rife with friction and discord, religion, if understood and imbibed with the right intention, stands as the sole harbinger of unity. Therefore, as an aware generation, we need to unite as a system to kindle acceptance and raise concern over unreasonable practices that act as a barrier to our development as a community. Thank you.
Judges to please note that the speaker spoke for 4 minutes and 13 seconds.
Thank you so much, Falgun. That was indeed a thought-provoking speech.
I now request our Vice Principal, Ms. Kirti Harit, to address the audience.
Good morning, school. Well, the impeccable content and excellent delivery definitely raised the benchmark, and I found your thoughts and ideas to be very, very relevant in most of the places. However, there could be some disagreements, and those disagreements definitely can be discussed for another day. In a debate or something, social media, for example, we probably needed to thrash out the other side of it, because the overindulgence and the cybercrime cannot be overlooked. So there are different ideas we were all thinking as we were listening you, and all I can say is that it was a great effort, and we can see the diamond in the rough being polished by your teachers. So a huge round of applause for your English teachers who've done such a wonderful job preparing you thus so that you can express your views fearlessly, so to say. So congratulations and thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I now request Dr. Nimrat Sidhu to address the audience.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's always a joy and so much pleasure coming here to be amongst these walking, talking lexicons of English language. Every time I come here, I realize I have miles to go to cover. So before I start, I just want to give you 3 takeaways whenever you are in a debate competition. The first will always be to address the audience and look at it, which I think each and every student did perfectly. The second would be avoiding controversial topics, because somehow they become very objective for us to decide. And the third is never to say finally. So whenever you're ending a speech, never say finally. Always leave the audience in a state of zen that they were in. For example, you could say, these are the 3 very important reasons that the government needs to regulate the rice industry. But I'm not going to tell you why, and just leave on a thank you note, so that if they were sleeping, you haven't caught them off guard. Other than that, I can completely understand the debilitating anxiety that you all must have felt. I think all my stammers would have covered up for that. The walk from there to here has totally crippled me with anxiety. But I must say that the topics that you chose today were so relevant, so beautifully researched, and so well thought out. Apart from the debate today, I'd like to take a moment, since most of you said it's your last debate here, you're standing here, as we mourn the death of Sardar Manmohan Singh. I just want you to understand the importance of speech and the importance of thought that you carried today. There was a very beautiful thing that he said before he passed away, was that I hope history is kinder to me than the media was. That is the importance of speech and true thought. And today, you students, all the safety net that you have, it's going to be your foundation for the challenges you face in life ahead. Although I do feel you all are very well equipped for that. And obviously having wonderful teachers and this wonderful foundation that you have created, my best wishes to all of you, and thank you always for having me here. It's always been a pleasure. And before I forget, I hope I've told you all that you're all winners. It was a beautiful experience today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I now request Major Navdeep Singh to come up on stage and say a few words.
Good morning. I'll be very brief. It was wonder hearing you all. And one thing I must say that in a speech competition, unlike a debate, I mean, you don't have to actually take sides, and it was wonderful hearing your well-researched talks. And I would only say this, that it's better not to get very preachy in what you say, since it's not a debate. And even in life, because you have to join respective fields of studies and respective professions later on, there's no black and white. We all thrive in shades of grey, and nothing is too right or too wrong. So always bear that in mind once you're still at an impressionable age, and don't have fixed notions about things, about atheism or believers or non-believers. We can all exist together. Just one example. So be flexible in your thoughts. Avoid psyops through WhatsApp. Keep your eyes open, your ears open, and thrive well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to request our respected principal, Ms. Renu Puri, to come up on stage and declare the much-awaited results.
Ouch. I think we can do this. I've got the height. So, good morning once again, all of you in the auditorium. And it's been a scintillating hour. I first need to thank the judges for taking time out on a busy morning and being here to encourage our children. Thank you, Ms. Nimrat and Major Navdeep. They're all stalwarts in their fields, and I think it's indeed an honor that they are here with us. I also thank our own faculty who was part of the judges, Jaspal ma'am and Kirti ma'am. Thank you for being so objective. I have the paper here. But before that, children, it gives me a lot of satisfaction when you come up here and you can express your views from your heart. This is one competition, a little history. It was something which was brought to Vivek High by our founder principal, Mrs. P.K. Singh, and she's the one who instituted this silver trophy, which is a running trophy, just because we always felt that children, and everybody actually, children and adults, need to be able to respectfully put their views forward with an open-minded demeanor. So you listen respectfully to the others and you put your views respectfully forward. It may be on the same page or you may be contradicting the other person. But I applaud the Department of English for giving you all this foundation, for being able to come up here and fearlessly speak. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. And now, so who do you think was first? Ah, you got it, man. It is Adhiraj. Hope. So this year again, Adhiraj, you take the trophy back to your family. Last year it was his sister, Sanjana, and this year it's Adhiraj. Congratulations and God bless you. You can wait while I announce the ones who nearly made it also. So, in the second position, guesses? Kashvi, Mosaics of Life. Well done, Kashvi. And the second runners-up in the third position. You're all very good, but it's Hiral. Yeah. Fear, yes, all of us have had that experience. So well done, all of you. And each one of you is a winner sitting here. But congratulations to the ones on stage once again. Okay. Let her come also. Yes, God bless you. And that's the lovely trophy for Adidas. May I request the Department of English, the judges and the participants to please come up so that we can have a photograph. Please come up, all of you.